welcome to Herbally Yours, an adventure into the world of natural medicine. Here is your host, Dr. Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse who will help you take the leap to ultimate wellness.
And greetings, friends. Thank you so much for joining me and our guest here on The Natural Nurse. And this is Ellen Kamai bringing you another edition of Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. And don't forget, you can also listen on iHeartRadio. Herbally Yours brings you the latest information about the many facets in the world of natural living. Today, I am very honored to have as our guest Dr. Maria Michael. Dr. Michael is an internationally known healer who combines a unique blend of Eastern, Western, and Native American healing practices. For over 40 years, Dr. Michael has been respected as a medical intuitive, channel, empath, healer, psychic, and teacher. Not only has she earned 5 advanced degrees, she is also a Lakota Traditional Elder and healer, where she is sought out for her powerful healing abilities. Dr. Michael also works with medical professionals from prestigious hospitals such as Sloan Kettering, Johns Hopkins, Harvard's Mass General, and has ER privileges at Boulder Community Hospital. She has worked alongside and for many spiritual leaders throughout different traditions. So we are so happy to have her with us today. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Michael.
Ellen, thank you so much for hosting this. It's very exciting to be on your show and all the ways in which you and your knowledge and your guests are trying to help the people who are listening to your interviews guide their health and become more empowered.
I do want to shout out, because it's very hard to give exact dates and everything. We don't like to do that because then the show is, we can't play it after the dates. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say that you lecture all over, and one of the reasons we're having you is you're doing a lot of actually in-person presentations. So for people to find the schedule, I think the best thing to do is to go to Dr. Michael, that's Dr. Michael, at Dr. MariaMichael.com, and you have a full and complete schedule of presentations, and I'm happy that I'll actually be with some of them. Now, let's go back in time, and what exactly brought you to know that you have the gift of healing?
Well, when we were very young, we would see things and see things in people's bodies, and then they would get sick, or we would know things that were going to be happening in the world, but we didn't understand always what we were getting, and then they would happen. So very, very young we were chosen. But it was a frightening thing when we were younger to have those gifts and not understand them and not understand how to work with the energy of creation and the spirit helpers around us, as well as the spirit helpers around other people. So it's been a long process in terms of being chosen very young and learning how to use that. And we're using it in many different ways and in many different worlds. Certainly the traditional work we do on the Lakota and Dene reservations and other places in our traditional ways, none of that you cannot charge for any of that kind of work. All of that is when you're chosen by spirit, it is gifted. There's energetic exchanges, but never any money. That's all done in a very different way. But the workshops have been a way that creation and creators and grandfathers and the grandmothers actually wanted us to bring work out so that all people would have ways of starting to understand what was happening with them on a physical, mental, emotion, and spirit level. And so that is part of the workshops that are coming up that we're doing in person in New York, on Long Island and in New York City on the 27th and 28th of this month.
Okay. So basically you're available many times, not only then, okay, you're
Correct.
Available many times, and people should really check at Dr. Michael at drmariamichael.com. Now, you're referring to yourself an individual that we could look at as one person, and you're referring to yourself and perhaps other entities that you work with as we. Why is it that you use we when referring to yourself instead of saying I?
Well, we have helped thousands of people, whether it be in individual intuitive ceremonies, which we'll talk about more, or whether they be in group, or whether they be at traditional ceremonies, or whether they just be in these workshops. And there is no way the little human could know all these things, private things about all these people. We believe that we are always connected to spirit. It doesn't matter what the tradition is. It's like the truth. The truth is the truth no matter what language we speak it in. It's only as pure as the one that's speaking it. And so the we is about the little human, the two-legged here with all her spirit helpers, as well as all the spirit helpers around whoever it is we're trying to help, coming together and creating almost like a triangle, sacred geometry with creation, with the grandmothers and the grandfathers and all the ancestors on their side, all the ancestors on our side, all coming together as a council gathering of elders. So we believe we're never separated. We're never separated from the standstill people, from the trees. You call them the trees. We call them the standstill people because we're fashioned after them, whether it be the winged ones, the creepy crawlers, the one that swim in the water, the four-leggeds. If we all treated each other as metakuase, we are all related. If we actually interacted not only with each other as human beings, but with all the living things on this planet, including Grandmother Earth and Miniwichoni, sacred water, then we would not be having any problems as a human race. We would be evolving. We wouldn't be having wars and thinking of ourselves as separate from other beings. Is that helpful?
Very wise. And I'd like to remind you, listeners, you are listening to Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse, and my guest today is Dr. Maria Michaels, and she will be lecturing all around our area and is also always available online. She has beautiful YouTubes, and she is a Lakota medicine woman who
use that. We don't use that languaging. Okay, so just a Lakota healer, Lakota Dene healer.
Okay, a Lakota healer, but also you are deeply trained in conventional, more Western teachings as well. Did you find that there was any discrepancy between those two paths?
Well, we used a lot of our gifts initially underground, doing all that work, but we have learned, and we know this not only from our clinical work, but also from our spiritual and emotional work, that when things start to show up on the physical body, it's because there are things on the mental, emotion, and spirit levels that have been out of balance in the tapestry. And it starts to show up on the physical plane to wake us up. And that many things can be healed by doing all kinds of lifestyle changes, all kinds of nutraceuticals, all kinds of ceremonies, because we've witnessed so many miracles. And so it's really that, even with herbal plants, it's all about intention. Before we go pick a plant for medicine, it's about approaching that plant, asking it, does it offer itself for us to use it so that it can help people? Emoto did such incredible research. Science is in some ways catching up to ancient wisdom, where he actually showed that water molecules change when you aim prayer or hate or love. And we are water animals, 70 to 80% of our body is water.
Yeah, that's so true. In fact, I was a colleague of Dr. Emoto, and I actually redid his experiments, which was really fun. He taught me the procedure, and it's too bad that he's now on the other side.
Well, he's helping from the other side. There's someone actually doing a documentary who also spoke with us, who will be doing a documentary about his work, but that's what we're saying is like this ancient wisdom and science is starting to come together in some ways, and in many ways science hasn't reached some of these other ways. But our belief system, we really can change. Anything is possible. I mean, anything is possible to change in our bodies. And like the bear, our body has its own wisdom. The bear knows what things to eat to help it get well. And our bodies also, when given the right alignment, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, given the right foods, because food is medicine, if we can give our bodies the things that will help it and work on the roots of what might be holding us back emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, the physical can change.
Well, even with your in-depth knowledge, for instance, you have a PhD in counseling psychology. Do you feel that the ancient wisdom, traditional teachings really meld with some of the more scientifically based teachings in conventional psychology?
We certainly meld them. Not everyone understands them, but we have found that clients, that we see weekly, actually rejoice in some of the unusual techniques. I mean, we are trained in EMDR and NLP and lens neurofeedback and hypnosis, and we can go on, and somatic therapy. But we have also found that if we just work from the place of the mind, you can't change the cellular information that's been held electromagnetically in the body. From whatever situations that have happened to us, everything has brought us to this place in this moment. And so it's bringing all of that together. And there's a place for both. There is, just like with Einstein, how spiritual he became, and the things that he wrote, same thing with Jung. If you read people that have, especially scientists who've gone from one end of the spectrum, they go to the other end because they begin to realize the vastness of creation through their work. And that the more that they know, they realize how little they know, which spurs their spirit more to search.
Yes, that's a really good way to put it. Now, when people are just trying to live in the world, and it seems like it's so chaotic right now, how can they keep that inner calm when so much chaos seems to be spinning around?
Well, one thing that we like to really ask people to really think about is trying to create some private, quiet time in the mornings and in the evenings before you go to bed. One of the things that's really important is to realize, as chaotic as our world may seem, geographically, socially, politically, in our own country, chaotically in the U.S. as well as around the world, is that, like Dr. Emoto, our prayer can change the cell and the chaos in our bodies, and can also, like a stone in the water, send out ripples to everyone else. So, for example, we're coming up to a very sacred time now when a lot of people are praying for Passover and Easter. It's a very sacred time. So what we say to people, join them in the prayer. Like we join and fast during Ramadan. It's joining a time when thousands of people are praying and focusing intention. And that's how you can change yourself and change the world. And so it's about creating that place of gratitude. It's about getting quiet and working with the breath. And what we could do even in this moment, if you would like, Ellen, is just take a moment to just breathe and pray together.
Well, we could do that right after the break. So why don't you hold that thought? And I'd like to tell you, listeners, stand by and we will participate together. And I'd like you to know that you are listening to Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Listen live online at nccradio.org or on iHeartRadio. For more information on today's guest or topic, email whpc@ncc.edu. Stay tuned. Herbally Yours will be right back.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada. Nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me, and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume, and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to more right here on Herbally Yours. This is Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse, and my guest today is Dr. Maria Michael, and you can find her at drmichael at drmariamichael.com. That's a good place to get in touch with her. And Dr. Michael, you were just talking about perhaps us enjoying together a spiritual moment.
That would be lovely. Can never have enough of those. And so I'm going to ask who's ever listening, wherever you are, to just take a moment and take 9 big, deep breaths in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth as we're starting to pray. And just hear our words. Tonkashila, grandfather. Unshi, grandmother. Unshimaka, grandmother earth. Miniwichoni, sacred water. Wakatanka, great creator. We want to say first, thank you for this moment. Thank you for this chance to be alive. Thank you for this new day of life that you have given us. We ask that you use each and every one of us who is listening in this moment, that you help us, use us in a good way so that each step we walk on Grandmother Earth is not only blessed, but that we bless the others that we come in contact with. We ask that with each breath, you help us get more grounded to the energetic vibration of Grandmother Earth so that we can walk with each footstep in balance and harmony, that we may breathe the air and that we may keep ourselves and our world and Grandmother Earth clean and pure for the next 7 generations. We ask that the places in our bodies, in our hearts, our minds, and in our spirit that may feel stuck or troubled, that you let us work through the breath and feel as we take in the breath and as we feel grounded and touching the earth, that you may work through us and help give us the peace that each breath can give us in lowering that sympathetic nervous system response that keeps us so busy, each and every being. And we want to say thank you again for this possibility to be with you in this moment and for the gratefulness of being able to be alive on this day and to be able to be talking to this many people and to be talking to Ellen and knowing that each person is like a stone in the water and then can send out your love and your magnificence and your creation, and that we're always just a heartbeat away, and that we all have the same heartbeat, the same pulse with Grandmother Earth. And we say thank you for being with us in this moment and letting us breathe and remember that Spirit lives within us at every moment. Aho, mitakiase. We're all related.
Thank you for sharing that, and I'd like you to know that you are listening to Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse, and today we are so happy to have as our guest Dr. Maria Michael, who just shared with us an absolutely beautiful and uplifting meditation. Now, I know one of the many techniques you use are ancient wisdom healing circles. What is that about?
Well, we were given this vision one time when we were fasting about how to use, because we're electrical beings that are also filled with water, the electricity passes through our bodies. And so these circles are actually created to where there's one person within, or there's 7 people and one person's within a circle. And then the people in the outer circle receive healing, as does a person inside. And Spirit shows us how to help each person remove blocks that may be keeping them from maximizing what their potential is on all levels. And so we use the sound and light and frequency to vibrate the cells of each person who is in the middle, and each being in the outer circle actually creates the vibration as well. And so as we do 3 circles at a time in the workshops, and then we stop and people then share the profound, a lot of people witness some very profound things happening for other people as well as for each other, and they share whenever anyone is comfortable. But it's meant to help people get further on their road, on their own path and journey to become whole and more holistic on a spirit, mental, emotion, and physical level. And so these group healings are so that we can have access to more people, because when we do the individual ceremonies, that's where we're working with someone very intensely for 4 days, although we're only on the phone with them for 3 hours. It's much more detailed because we go organ by organ and explain cellularly, physically, mentally, emotionally what's going on for each person and what's happened, what creates the blueprint of where they are in this moment. In the group circles, we don't speak. Everything is done anonymously. Everything is done, sometimes people will come and speak with us after, but they have a very profound somatic reaction, and it's a way of doing something that's not using, quote, native traditional techniques and watering them down and changing them from the reservation. This is another way. So in this way, we're using all our knowledge to help either people in group or in individual ceremonies.
Well, that's a beautiful explanation, and I do want people to know you could visit drmariamichael.com, all one word, and you have a beautiful website that really explains many of these things. And as a medical and psychological intuitive, you process counseling with individuals, and you're able to actually affect cellular healing and do ceremony with them. So that is a beautiful thing if people want to go a little bit more deeply into not only their own psyche, but their body-mind connection.
Right, and sometimes there's also generational trauma, and we've worked with people as far as Dubai and Australia. The spirits are not limited like we humans are to a location. So we work with people all over the world, and we can work remotely. But this is a way for people in the group healing circles to work with us directly, unless they live in the state that we're living in.
Now, what about that link to Native American culture? Obviously, as you said, you're not using exact ceremonies from that, but did you grow up with that in your life?
We grew up with that later in our life, yes. And so we've been supporting and helping sun dancing. We've been dancing 28 years now. We're giving you an idea what our age is. When we were at Standing Rock, they called us grandma. And
except so, I would call you youngster, my dear. So it's all because I was with Sun Bear in the 60s.
I think the laughter has more to do with they assume because you're an elder of a certain age that you have wisdom, and that doesn't always go hand in hand. So hopefully we all learn and get wisdom through the mistakes and accidents that we also make as humans walking our path. That we humans are imperfect by design. That is how we learn. And so we are not above that either. But yes, we help in traditional ceremonies. We pour water in sweat lodges, and we've been doing that a very, very, very long time. And we are hoping to create another sweat lodge in Colorado. Actually, as we speak, we were able to help Dartmouth create its first consecrated permanent sweat lodge last year.
That's so exciting to me that you're bringing a lot of this ancient knowledge and healing traditions to a more mainstream audience, and I love that because that's what I think can really push things forward.
Dartmouth also has a native program, as does Stanford and Harvard, because they used to be Indian schools. But this work that I've been given by Spirit to come out into the world, I guess that's the better way to say it, is so that all the knowledge can be shared. Because if we don't all start practicing that we are one family, then we are never going to change the planet or ourselves. And so there are incredible mystics who've been Christian and Hebrew mystics, and there are healers from all traditions. It's just about how do we share it, and how do we help people feel safe enough to become vulnerable, to be open up to their wounds, to be exposed and seen, not only by themselves, but by others, so people can hold them as a container, as a blanket of love, to let them know they're not alone. That's really what's so really important in our world, that too many people feel they're alone.
Yes, I would say that's even written about as one of the aspects of society that cause disease. It's true. So how do people reach out to bring more spirituality into their life? What about those who feel that it might be in conflict with their conventional practice in terms of being Christian or Catholic or Jewish or Islamic or some specific religion?
We've worked with every tradition. We've worked with lamas from Dharamsala. We've worked with a very famous rabbi here in Colorado. We can't say his name because he has passed. We just actually saw his wife. We've worked with many different people. I think part of what we all as humans have to start with our minds is changing our mind think, because regardless of the tradition, they all teach the same ideas about how to treat each other with respect, how to love, how to transcend even ourselves in our own narrow world or mind thinking or macrocosm. And so it's not that they're in contradiction. They're in harmony in their purest form, just like we were saying before about the truth. You know, you can say, I love you in 1,000 languages. It doesn't hold any less meaning. And so it's about how do we each, every day with every breath, or as we walk through a doorway, take a breath and say, oh, I remember. I'm not alone. Spirit is with me. And whether it's Spirit or God or Yahweh or Muhammad, we all come from the same place. When we pass this place from the physical form, it's not like we go someplace and it says, okay, all the natives go, indigenous people go here, Celtic people go here, Druids go here, Jewish people go here. It doesn't work. We all go back to an energetic source. We all, and we have passed over in this lifetime and have come back many times. So when you speak to people who've passed over, they can share that kind of information, that it's not a void like some people are afraid of. It's really, right. And that's part of what happens in the sweat lodge is sometimes when the spirits have asked us to share information about things that are going to happen before they happen, it's so that people here on the planet realize that they're not alone. They're being foretold things for reasons. Just like we were asked to go into the pit at 9/11, 6 months after that happened. And we came from Colorado all the way to New York to do some special ceremonies for the spirits that were caught in the in-between. So part of what we're saying is you have an opportunity every moment to get in touch with your spirit. Put your hand over your heart. Take a deep breath and just ask to remember. It's only our mind that separates us from spirit. So sometimes we wonder if creation gave us this mind for their entertainment, because it often has twisted things. If you see what's happening on our planet, there are people in power, things get very twisted in their minds. But we go back to that compass.
So true. Well, we have to end. So check out drmariamichael.com and look at events to find events in our local area coming right up. And I want to thank you, listeners, and thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you so much, Ellen, and thank you, everyone, for listening.
and for tuning into Herbal Yours, produced in the studios of 90.3 WHPC, Nassau Community College, Garden City, New York. Email us at whpc@ncc.edu. This is your host, Ellen Kamai at naturalnurse.com, inviting you to join us next week for another edition of Herbal Yours. Until then, stay healthy.